thank you everyone for joining today. We'll be talking about the Creo Design Exploration extension. My name is Stuart Weiler, the Director of CAD and PLM at Elite Aerospace Group as part of the Digital Enterprise. So just want to give a very quick intro into Elite so that way you can see who we are, and then we'll start talking about the Design Exploration extension. So Elite is an aerospace company. We manufacture in the aerospace sector, and then we have other divisions of our company. The part that I work in is the engineering services. Engineering services is a partner with PTC. You can see here some of the things that we do. We resell and support all of the different suites of software. So today we'll be talking about Creo, which is of course a CAD solution, and there's lots of extensions. I wanted to highlight the Design Exploration extension because it's a great and very powerful extension, and for most people it's actually already included in what they have because it comes with the Creo Design Essentials bundle. So we just wanted to highlight essentially a great tool that you probably didn't know that you already have. With that being said, I will now like to introduce Paul Dye from PTC at the Virtual Center of Excellence, who's going to show us a little bit of an example about the Design Exploration extension.
Hey, thank you so much, Stuart. Steal, present off of you again. Okay. Well, like you mentioned, we are going to be talking about the Design Exploration extension today. Before we really dive into everything too much, just want to take a step back and look at some of the problems or challenges that some of our other customers have had in the past or seen in the industry today, or some of the ones you might be seeing in your systems right now. In the design world, we start with an idea, and we're trying out lots of different things. We might be thinking of an upgrade to a current design or possibly a new version. Maybe we have a complex design when it makes significant changes, but we're not exactly sure how we're going to get to do that. Might start going through the process of trying out a lot of new concepts, pretty quick fire just to see how that might look, and maybe finally you decide on a new idea to incorporate. How do you bridge the gap between that and getting to that new official design? All these are very real challenges, and how's that process of getting that look today? Well, I might start with all kind of backup files, each with different design changes. It's really just a mess. And you have models all over the place, which leads to opening, closing, reloading for each time you want to build out a new view, see a different design path, and it becomes a nightmare just trying to keep everything straight. One of the important things here is that we aren't losing the value of having a lot of different multiple designs built out, because we want to have different model configurations and different versions ready if we have things like design reviews to look over different changes. Maybe in that design review, you decide you like a certain feature. Well, how hard is it going to be to actually go back, sift through different versions to find that one design feature that you liked? That can really eat up a lot of time. Our solution to this inside of Creo, to combat all those different challenges, is the Design Exploration extension. This process really just involves exploring different design options to your heart's content, but also keeping track of everything that you've done in a clean environment. This process begins with snapshots. So we instantly create backups of the Creo session to save these pre-modified versions of whatever models before we go through and make changes. And we capture each change that we make through the use of checkpoints. These are incremental changes that allow us to simultaneously explore any kind of different design idea that we have. We also have the ability to toggle through each of these checkpoints that we make, and we can pick exactly where to go, and that gives us options. The path that's really just best for us. Ultimately, we can accept these changes, go forward, or simply say, hey, let's revert back and try another path. Design Exploration Extension, or DEX, really makes this process painless, no matter how many different paths that we try. So we might go down one path and make changes, say, hey, this is my new design, and get to the end and say, that's not exactly what I want. And we can switch back and maybe try out another iteration at some point in our path. Go through that, see, okay, we get to this, and actually, I was probably right the first time. Well, that's cool. Just go back, go to that other path, and continue right where you left off. And you don't want to be the one having to keep track of all these different paths. want to let that design exploration extension do all the work for us. To really pound this through, we're going to go into Creo Parametric, and we can actually see what this process of design exploration is going to look like. All right. So let me pull up my initial view here. Here we go. Now we have back to our original part. And for this demonstration, we have a nice high-end bronze shaver that we're going to end up looking through. So this is to go through and start to analyze how we're actually going to utilize this exploration. So first things first, I'm going to turn off the surface model and some of the parts that actually make this thing work. Okay, so here's where we are today. So this is our baseline for what we're working with. A lot of different parts that make up the shaver, different pieces. But I'm going to go through and try some stuff out. So let's start a design exploration extension in then one of these sessions. All we have to do is give it a name. We call it color and shape exploration and jump right in. This is where we're going to go through and start making some changes. This just becomes normal Creo work. Maybe instead of black, I want to try a nice vibrant blue for the handle. Maybe instead of these black glossy slides, I maybe want to add in a bit of some chrome here and see what that's going to look like. All of this is really just playing around. And in my head, I have a lot of what-if scenarios that might be coming to my head. No problem. We can go through and explore all of this. And if that looks like a good version, I can just build a checkpoint for that. And that's where I'm telling the system, I like this. I want to keep this stored for me. We'll call it blue chrome. We have that stored in. I can go through and start making some more changes. I want to see what this handle might look like in red. And all of this is pretty simple, but this is all things that we normally do, all things that we normally work with in Creo Parametric. Maybe I want to go through and change the button, go through and make any of those edits if I need to. If I'm happy with this, I'm saying good, let's go through and make a checkpoint, call it red chrome, and we have all of these things that are called snapshots, showing exactly what the design looks like at this particular point in time. That's all pretty good and easy and everything, but let's try something a little bit more drastic. What I'm doing here is I'm going to open up the shell model that's driving a lot of this geometry. I'm going to go and start to make some surface changes. And what this is here that we're working with is a freestyle surface. My first thought is I want to go in and add a bump because I need something in this shaver that's going to support my finger a bit better. So all I do is go down here, grab that surface, drag it up. I know that this is going to be a pretty useful change because it might make the shaver maybe a little bit easier to grab, keep a hold of. And now that it's updated, I can just simply go back in the model and we'll go through, build this out, regenerate the view to see the new updated design. Yeah, so I definitely like the way that surface turned out. Stopping in here, making another checkpoint to remember that edit. And notice how with most of these changes, I've been walking down a pretty straight path with some of the that I've made. Well, at any point I could say, you know what, I really like that blue chrome design. Maybe I want to go back and try a few things out with that. So clicking on this, it actually takes the model to that shape, size, color, and configuration that was associated with that checkpoint that we saved. Here, I'm going to do another change. Now, I'm looking more at the sides of the surface. Thinking on that finger idea, I want to add in a bit more texture. So kind of like how I did earlier, I'm just clicking on this surface and I'm going to drag it out. And we can go through and do this with more than one point, do that with a few points. I have full control here, whether it's changing surfaces, changing dimensions. Maybe after I go through and change some of these surfaces out on the side, I want to go up and make some edits on the top as well. So just click up there, exactly how we want to change it. And there we go. I like how this looks so far. Again, we can go through, stop back on the design, and we'll regenerate to see the effects of all these changes to the surface that we just made here. One thing to notice as we're going through this is this doesn't have any changes that we made with something like the red design because we stopped back into this blue chrome and we actually branched off of this blue Chrome design, and we're starting to make changes there. Here we can stop back over in the red Chrome and see that wasn't changed at all. With this red Chrome, let's try out another thing. Let's make a new branch here. Another option we have is the ability to change some dimensions we have built into the model. Here we have a sketch that's driving sizes for the buttons. I'm going to go through, start making changes here, moving some things around. And this is all standard 3D modeling stuff, doing a lot of the same processes that I would normally be doing working in Creo. The difference is, at any point in this process, I haven't had to save any copies or play any games of trying to try out new things. All that I'm concerned with, making changes. If I like it, I just keep going. If I don't like it, no problem. I can just look at this and say, hey, what does that change look like? Here we go. You can see it right there on the model. If I like it, keep going. And if I don't, let's go back and try something else. I've gone through, changed these button shapes. Let's make a checkpoint before we go any further. That may be button position. Notice with that, we have a branch being built out of that red Chrome design. At any point, just go back to this original state. I can even go forward again, back to that wave, anywhere that I want to necessarily go. Now we've gone through, changed shapes, dimensions. Let's actually try changing parts out here. Maybe I'm told by someone on my team, we want to try out a new switch. We're going to go through, first, suppress that old switch, and we can bring in the new one and maybe start to see what that would actually look like. The Design Exploration extension, able to subtract, add different parts from the assembly. Yeah, I like the way that looks. Again, save out a checkpoint, put that in the checkpoint tree, and that's really the idea with the Design Exploration extension. Simply make whatever changes happen to come to your mind and tell the system, remember what we're doing here and where exactly in the exploration path that we're doing it. Whenever I'm ready, save this, and once I'm finally done, I can either accept this or I can say cancel, go back to that pre-modified version. But the thing is, it's still going to remember all those different changes that we tried out, even if you go and accept it. You could also pick and choose exactly where and what checkpoint we might want to go from. So maybe there was a certain iteration. Now, I like this blue handle without any of the surface changes we made. You can select that checkpoint and say, all right, done here, and move right back along with that, bring it back into Creo Parametric, keep making changes. We're able to take that design that we chose as the best, keep going. Anytime I want, stop back in, start a new exploration session, try out some new ideas. Or I could open up that old one, go try out that red Chrome design. It's all saved conveniently for us. And that's really the huge power of the Design Exploration extension. It gives you full freedom in a very organized and streamlined environment. Moving forward with this design exploration mindset, we can now start to embrace a lot of our inner creativity. Really start to try whatever you want. Move this, try a new set of wheels, add or delete parts, mess with colors. We don't want any stone unturned. You probably aren't going to use every single design change that you try, but that's really the whole idea. So once you find what you like, there's no doubt that it's the right one. And this really helps with things like design reviews. So go back, show every step of the process that you took, and see exactly how you got to where you are today. So the whole idea around using the Design Exploration extension, no longer digging through piles of junk to get what you need, it's all laid out there right for us. That's really all I have to talk about today, and I'll hand it back over to Stuart.
All right, Paul, well, thank you very much. It's not exactly a question, more a comment. Something I think is not entirely clear. I want to make sure people understand. With design exploration, when you make these checkpoints, you're not creating new files. And I think that's kind of the only alternative. So it's still just one file, one assembly or part with all of these different checkpoints in it. So it's almost like managing the file within itself, which I think is very powerful. So yeah, if you look back at the checkpoints, you'll see it's still all just in that one file. You can switch between them and see all those possible things that you could do. I want to see what it would look like here, what it's going to do there, and in the end, just choose which checkpoint you want to go back to. think it's very powerful.
Absolutely right, Stuart. And you're not spending a lot of time trying to go through different file folders and say, oh, I remember I made a design change 2 weeks ago. I know it's in one of these files, or maybe I sent it to somebody. None of that. You just have it all in one concise spot.
Exactly. Well, thank you very much for the demonstration today. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to contact me, Stuart Weiler, at Elite Digital Enterprise, and or my email address is sweiler@eliteaerospacegroup.com. Thank you, everyone, and have a nice day.
Thank you, Stuart. Have a good one.